Hey guys, RC here, back with our season wrap-up video for our second season. Um, and we're playing Draft Day Sports College Football, uh, 2017 from Wolverine Studios. And what we've been trying to do for 2 years now is kind of recreate the Wishbone option attack that Oklahoma used to devastating effect in the 70s and the first half of the 1980s. I told you real quick we would run through the scores. We ended up losing to Oklahoma State. You can see we had 27 passes, 58 rushes. So again, just right over that 2-to-1 spread. And I want to make a note of that. 2-to-1 was our ratio. And we were actually a little worse than that in the bowl game. We got blown out. We scored 3 touchdowns passing in the fourth quarter, um, but we had to pass a lot, being behind by 5 touchdowns or whatever in that game. So that's where that turns out to be. Um, Not a good season result wise, and I honestly it's not talent because we had 2 players make All American and 5 players make the All Conference team. So we certainly should have been better than that, than to drop, finish under 500 in um, in conference play. And I have a suspicion. I can't go back and redo it now, but well, actually, I might be able to. At least part of the season, I could come back to the current when we started this, and I've got I don't know, five games left in the season. Well, we started with Texas Tech, so we had finished off of the 3, so we could have 3 games left and just run a passing oriented, the default stuff from the game and see what that does. I might do that. I might do that just for giggles. But you can see how we ended up 3 straight losses, 5 losses in conference. What I wanted to spend most of this video was kind of going through statistics and kind of laying all the cards on the table on what we think about the option attack. Um, but we'll do that as we progress. But let's look at the stats first. What I have done at this point, again, I finished the season. I have made note of how many passing attempts we had, how many passing attempts per game we had, and also rushes. So let me pull that up here, and it's down here at the bottom. So we had 318 passes for the regular season in 12 games. That's 26 and a half a game. Okay. Fullback, we had 44 carries or 3.6 a game. But if we look at just the fullbacks and what they did down the stretch of the season when we really started playing around with our playbook, they were averaging about 6 per game. So I just made a note: 3.6 for the season, 6 for the for kind of our peak where we kind of finally dialed into. Quarterbacks, we had 129 carries or 10.75 per game. However, in looking at our quarterback, and I'm going to use my phone, not my calculator, because I have my hotkeys for my recording device hotkey to those. So he had 19 carries, 18 carries, 15 carries, and then 13 in the bowl game. So the last 4 games, he was actually averaging 16.25 carries a game. Pretty significant increase. All right, and then our running backs as a whole, the entire backfield, not counting this one receiver carry. That was, I think, in the first game before we started using the playbook. They averaged 36.16 carries a game. Now, my quarterbacks had no yardage, but that was because Fullerton ended up with negative 29 yards, and then sacks took out the rest. Actually, that I thought that was more. So 29. We actually ended up with 25 yards. 25 yards rushing. All right, 2 touchdowns, 1,990 yards for the tailbacks, 13 touchdowns, 191 yards, and 1 touchdown for the fullbacks. All right, now I'm going to bring this, if I can get it. There we go. Let's shrink this down. And I want to bring up a website. Not that one, this one. And I want to go to my first post. All right. So this was actually a note that I put together to 2 of the guys that deal with that, the coders of the game, basically, the developer and coder of the game. So this was done April 14th, so a little over a month ago. So I've been playing with, and we were already doing this video series at the time I wrote this. So this is the research. I went to the Oklahoma website. I pulled up several different websites, and let's go through some of these stats. Okay, Jamel Holloway, the year that I chose to do this was his freshman year, the year that he won the national title as a freshman, with the triple option attack that Oklahoma ran. Now, he played a 4-year career. He averaged 135 carries, 678 yards, and 8 touchdowns per year. All right, now how does that match up with our guy? Well, 16 carries a game. Well, let's factor that out. In fact, I'm going to put a little gap in here. Let me insert some rows. Should have already had this done, but this is something I hadn't really decided to do. All right, so if he averaged 135 divided by 12, he's averaging about 11 carries a game, right? Okay. Now, 25 yards was on the season, and 2 touchdowns was on the season. Now, again, we didn't have the right quarterback to run this. That I will say that will probably make a little bit of a difference, and here's why. We'll come back to this. One of the developer responded. This is his player card for his quarterback. Now, notice, not a dual threat, okay? But evidently he had some running skill. 52 carries, 425 yards, 9 touchdowns. 98 carries, 625 yards, 6 touchdowns. And in 4 starts, 5 games, 21 carries, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. All right, so 52 divided by, we'll call it 13 games. I mean, that's only 4 carries a game. So we're, that's, first off, that is well below the average that Holloway had, right? But yardage-wise, I mean, he didn't do badly. Touchdown-wise, he didn't do badly. Certainly much better than our quarterback did. All right. So I'm just looking at the attempts per game. Yardage, that's going to be because of the ability of the guy that we had at quarterback. Good passer. Remember, he was not a very good runner. Running backs, well, let's talk about well, we already had that. I'd already figured all that out. Anyway, and here's the website. It was from sportsreference.com for the 85 Sooners. All right, Leon Perry was the fullback. Now, what you have to remember, The fullback at this time was actually, in many cases, the leading runner for his team. And this was just before the switch over. Franco Harris was actually a feature back in college, as well as with Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Larry Zonka with the Miami Dolphins, and they were fullbacks, but they were the leading ball carriers for their teams. So it was not, and those were not even option attacks. So, but Lydell Carr was the running back. Leon Perry was the fullback. He averaged 106 carries per season, which was third on the team in carries and yards, 504 yards, just over 5 touchdowns a year. Okay? That was 9 carries, 42 yards per game. All right? 9 carries, 42 yards a game. 9 and 42. Well, we had 1990 all told. 1990 divided by 12 games. That's 165.8 yards a game. Oh, wait, wrong thing. 190. Oh, we were talking fullback. My bad. 42 yards divided by 12. 3.5. That's 3.5 yards a game. No, wrong line. Thanks for playing. 191 divided by 12. All right, 15.9 yards a game. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Told you I wasn't good at math. All right, so this is not right. That's not right. All right, 9 carries and 42 yards a game. All right, so I would say carry-wise, we got that pretty close. Okay? Yardage-wise, nowhere near. Nowhere. Now, could that have something to do with our linemen? Maybe. Do we need better run-blocking linemen? Maybe. In fact, we can go in and look at that. Let's go look at that real quick. Let me look at my roster. And let's look at tackles first. All right, so yeah, better pass blocker than run blocker. Not a very good blocker at all. He's a good run blocker. Better pass than run, about the same. So, could we maybe have better tackles? Maybe. Okay, so that might be part of the issue. Let's take a look at our guards. Even. Better run blocker. Even. I don't think he hadn't played any games, so he's worse at run blocking. Better at run blocking. Pretty good at both. All right, so I would say our guards are actually pretty good at run blocking. Well, you know what? I didn't even need to do that. Right there. Boom. All right, so, we've got 3 guys at 88, 86, 86, 85. I would say those are pretty good run blockers. All right, let's go back to the tackles. Look at that just to make sure we're looking at. All right, so a 90, 80. All right, maybe, but our 2 starters probably were very, very accomplished run blockers. And what about our centers? Well, we've got a 91, an 88, 87. Again, I would say these guys are probably pretty good. Okay? And in a lot of their cases, they're better run blockers than pass blockers. Okay? With the exception of Anton Parker. And he's played, so he was actually my starter. So that may have been something maybe I needed to go to William Patterson. I should have looked at that. All right, so there's an argument to be made that maybe we've got quality blockers. Maybe I used the wrong ones, and we need to look at that more in recruiting. Okay, that you need to be focusing more on a run blocking rather than a pass blocking player. All right. So anyway, that's possible that would help that. Better run blocking up front would probably equate to more yards. Would it lead to 3 times the yardage? Probably not, because I don't think our guys were that bad. So I don't think we would see a 3-time. Now, if we increased our carries by a third, all right, well, 612, 2.5 yards a carry. That would be 2, 5, 7. Let's say 8 more yards a game. Now we're at 23. Okay, so still, I don't know that it would make that kind of difference. Okay, trying to compare, and yeah, we're trying to compare to something that really happened. If I could be remotely close to that, I think I would be okay. But blockers, a possibility that we would have to address. I did not. Did I? Let's see. I don't think I was looking mainly at the quarterback and running back. I mean the fullback, because then everything else would come into play, in my opinion. All right, so based on the numbers, this is a failure. Not horribly so. Not horribly so. So let's come back into the game and then let's kind of think through this. This video might go a little long because I want to try to, I really want to try to put everything into one video from a recap standpoint. One, the team underperformed based on its talent level. Should a playbook make that big of a difference? Maybe. I mean, if you're going to use it, but the thing is, it needs to be a functioning playbook that's kind of, not easy, but should be able to be grasped and know how to put one together. And sometimes that's only going to come with time and effort. If you take the time and you make the effort, you'll get better, just like anything in life. So, I'm not going to say they need to make that easier because, we don't want a game that's just, glitchy that, just anybody can pick up. And, we kind of have that with the other college football game where guys that have played 3,000 seasons and have 1,000 hours of game time, they can perform at a certain level. And then you have guys that are, hey, I just bought the game. I saw you have a league. I want to join it. Hey, I don't understand why you're kicking my butt and I can't win the national title. I quit. And we have that happen because they feel they should be able to come in and compete on the same playing field that you are when they've got 30 minutes of playing the game and you've got 3,000 hours of playing the game. So no, I certainly understand that, but hopefully, if somebody does understand the game planning with the playbooks, maybe they can do a tutorial video on how to do that because I'd love to see it. I really don't see any other videos for these types of games for the most part outside of mine. And I'm not the guy to do that video because you can see we've been just playing with it here, and it has resulted in probably this coach getting fired, all things considered. Recruiting went well. I think this year we started looking at, in fact, let's look at our commitments, and I only want to look at tackle. All right, so run and pass blocking is both remarkable, unique, and incredible. So I don't know. See, you get the words here in recruiting, and then you get the bars and numbers once they're on your team, which certainly makes sense that you have a better idea, but it's hard to know what those words actually translate to. So great run blocking, remarkable. So this guy's, if I had to guess, he's going to be better at pass blocking. All right, and then remarkable and unique. I think he'll be, again, remarkable. I'm not going to guess that he's going to be bad at it, right? Great and exceptional. So again, great. That's got to be above average. So I think we looked at that more in recruiting this year, and that will probably start paying dividends down the road. This is probably going to be a formation type that you're going to have to really pay attention to. You're going to have to, instead of recruiting by ranking and whatnot, you're going to have to actually pay a lot more attention to the individual ratings, and you're going to have to recruit specific style players, if that makes sense. Quarterbacks, of course, you're going to want the guy that has top end speed and agility. You're going to want passing skills too, but if you're going to be the run predominant first, then you really need to have the run as your primary skills that you're worried about, and then falling back into the arm and intelligence at that point. Now, like this guy has great speed, great agility, great arm, great intelligence, remarkable accuracy. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. This guy has the dual threat tag, remarkable speed and agility. So from a running perspective, he may actually turn out to be a little bit better. When we look at his passing skills, remarkable, exceptional. Intelligence is a little bothersome to me because that impacts interceptions. So, but if you're not throwing the ball a ton, are you worried about that, as much? So you'll have to really get dialed into recruiting specific needs. We talked about going into the options and redoing this place setting. This 1/100 here dials in to make your play calling screen that much more sensitive. So if you're going to be heavy in your playbooks, then you want to adjust this. These actually affect the entire league. If you want more rushing yards, you up this and downgrade that. But that does it for everybody. So I didn't want to do that. So this is the first place you have to come and look at. If we go back into roster, Fullerton, and edit. Oh, see, that turned off. I don't know why. You're supposed to check that, remember? We did that in one of the videos. Oh, I think I unchecked him at some point because I didn't want him running as much. But because we had the playbook, you saw he still had 19, 18, and 15 carries in the last 3 games, even though it was unchecked. Okay, so let me check another quarterback here. Augustine. All right, he didn't. Was it Muller? Yes, Muller, we had checked him off because he had the better speed and agility, although still not great for what we wanted. for this Wishbone attack. So the only other thing, so those are the two things. One, you got to come into the options and do this. You're going to have to use the playbook extensively. You've got to check off your quarterback to make him a running quarterback. If you're in a multiplayer league, remember, only the commissioner can do that, so you have to have him do that for you. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the game planning, because this is going to be the nuts and bolts, I think, of what is going to make this strategy work, if it will. And it's in conjunction with everything else we've discussed. First and foremost, recruiting specific needs to your game plan. Okay? Strong hands, agile linemen, to be able to get to the block, better at run blocking than pass blocking, if you're going to be a predominantly run-heavy team. All right, now let's go back and look at these stats a little bit. Okay, and we're going to move this up to the side so we can talk about this a little bit. So the quarterback, we got up to 16 and a quarter. Now he was 19, then 18, then 15, then 13. Now in that 13 run game, we were behind in the bowl game. He had to throw a lot in the fourth quarter. Odds are he would have been somewhere in that 15 to 19 range had we been in the game or winning. He probably would have carried the ball a little bit more. Now, I don't have an issue being above the numbers that we looked at. Like I said, as long as we can get close to these. I don't know how much difference our linemen are going to make on the yardage here. All right, that was the timer, but I think we want to go ahead and try to finish this video to where it's done. So I hope you bear with me. So what else can we do? The only other thing that I can see is continue to mess with these numbers here, your run-pass ratio. And remember, when you go into the options and you change that to 1/100, this now carries a lot of the weight, right? The closer to 0, then the more you're going to run the ball. The closer to 100, the more you will pass the ball. The only other thing is in the playbook itself. And we had already deleted a couple of the quarterback shotgun run. We deleted that one before the last sim. We had edited the weight down for some of the running back options. The passing options don't affect that because, again, everything's based on the weighting. Everything's based on the weighting here. So, I mean, you've got a 4% chance of calling a pass out of that play, and then it determines, okay, we're going to call a pass. What pass are we going to call? Well, it's going to be one of the passes in here, and then that's going to be based on weight. So the only other thing I think we could do is maybe dial our quarterback back just a little bit. Maybe make these 6s and 5s. Try that. And then some of these running back options, maybe make these 5s or 4s for some of those running back runs. We had already dialed these 4 back to 6s, but maybe we need to dial the running backs back to 4 or 5 or a mixture of that to get that to work for us. That would be the next step to test. I just don't think I've got it in me to do that at this point. We've spent a lot of time and effort and energy looking at this to try to get it to work rather than playing the game and having fun with it. So I wanted to leave this open here if you guys want to kind of look at the plays in the playbook. That way they're all there. You can copy those. You can take the weights that we've already done, incorporate those in. And these are in every video I think that we've basically been doing. But this is where we're at today. So I think that would be the next thing to try, would be to, like I said, dial these weights back for the quarterback and the running back. We've already maximized the 3 fullback runs, and that should give the fullback more runs, although he didn't run very well, as we saw here. I mean, we're averaging 15.9 yards a game on 6 carries. I mean, that's not even 3 yards a carry. So but again, that could be overcome maybe by better linemen. But I think we looked, I mean, our linemen are pretty solid. They certainly don't suck. So, I don't know how much better my linemen could be, and I don't know, with the small gap that they might be able to be better, I don't know how much improvement we would actually see on the play results themselves. Now, of course, the more you carry the ball, the more likelihood you might break a longer run. Hard to say. Now, one of the things that was mentioned was that because defenses have evolved from the 70s and 80s, and now the defenses are playing more spread out, linebackers are faster, that they can get to the edge and disrupt an option style attack more than they could back in the day when they actually ran these formations. Not sure how much I agree with that, because everybody's gotten faster. The running back should be able to get to the edge faster than the running back could 25, 30 years ago. The linemen should be able to pull out faster than they could 25 or 30 years ago to throw a block on that linebacker. I mean, everybody has stepped up athletically, so I'm not sure how much credence I give to that retort that I got. I mean, it's certainly possible, and if that's how they designed the game, if that's how it was programmed, okay, well then sure, it's going to make a difference. I'm not sure that was programmed right if that's the case, because I think everybody has stepped up athletically. Anyway, I hope you guys have gotten something out of this over the 2 seasons that we've been crunching this down and trying to look at it. Can we get it perfect? No, I don't think so. Are there some things that that you can dial in and try to tweak a little bit to get a better optimization? Yeah, I think so. I think there's a few things that we've discussed here that you can try if you want to, and see if it works. And I'm leaving it here so you can see these run-pass ratios too. But all things considered, I think I am done with the Wishbone, and I am going to call this Let's Play completed. I will come back with a new league and a new team, and probably do an actual career, and we'll go from there. Guys, thanks for checking it out. Appreciate it so much. We'll see you down the road. Take care.